tougher than leather. You can call me
Wade.
Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my
Wade.
hardest.
Wade.
It ain't hard to tell. I break them down whether
Wade. Wade.
unlike
Wade. 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 Wade Whipple. Wade Whipple. Wade Whipple.
So hello fellow Sonic fans, and welcome to my review of the new Knuckles spin-off series, which is exclusively available on Paramount Plus. Legally.
Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
So, originally I had pretty much no interest in viewing this series, not because I thought it looked shit, but because I wasn't really that interested. Mostly because I think that the live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movies are just okay movies. I mean, it's great that they were huge box office successes and brought Sonic out of his public pillory, but I think they're just okay, faithful, and respectful to the source material. Although, in all honesty, I don't think I've ever seen such shameless product placement in my life. But naturally, you've got to capitalise off of that success, and a spin-off series surrounding Knuckles the Echidna was announced, to the surprise of a lot of fans actually. I only checked the series out because of the backlash it received online, and I was thinking, what the hell is all the commotion about? I watched all 6 episodes in the span of 2 days, because if you've watched my other reviews, you'll know that I hate bandwagoning and actually consume things for myself and form my own opinions on them, unlike a lot of people that I've known in the past. I did that with Devil May Cry 2, the live-action Cowboy Bebop series, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and well, those are pretty bad examples because I didn't like any of those 3 things I just mentioned, but you get what I mean. I think how I'll approach this, since it's only 6 episodes long, I'm going to review it episode by episode and say what I think about the episode and the ongoing narrative. Unlike my Green Lantern the Animated Series review. Yeah, I squeeze references like that in there to encourage you to watch my other videos. But let's become tougher than leather and drill dive into the Knuckles spin-off series.
rougher than the rest of them, the best of them, tougher than leather. You can call me Knuckles. Unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle.
The first episode, titled The Warrior, begins with our titular and main character Knuckles, and I use the term main very loosely, chilling at the home of the Wachowskis when he becomes alerted by some construction workers who he confuses for intruders, so he absolutely demolishes them. This, however, doesn't sit right with Pretzel Lady from the movies, who grounds Knuckles for being a naughty boy. I'm still not really a fan of this interpretation of Knuckles. Like, yeah, the game Knuckles could have been pretty thick and gullible at times, but he wasn't really ignorant of the world. Like, I know this Knuckles is new to how Earth works, and it's vastly different from the tribal warrior lifestyle that he's used to, but he just comes across as a different character to me from the games. I'm also not too big a fan on Idris Elba's voice for him either. It's way too deep for Knuckles, and I guess it suits the angle that they're taking him. Whereas I think Ben Schwartz is pretty fitting for Sonic, and they got Tails' game voice actress, Colleen O'Shaughnessy, to voice him in the movie. I still find it a strange choice that they chose Tails' game voice actress to do the voice in the movies, like they didn't celebrity voice cast Tails for some reason, I don't know why. Speaking of which, I hope you like Sonic and Tails, because they only show up in this show for the first 15 minutes, to give Knuckles some generic pep talk about teamwork, and they are never seen again. Kind of glad about that, since the CG on them looks much cheaper, let's just say that. While grounded, Knuckles receives a visit from the spirit of Chief Pachacamac from Sonic Adventure. Now, I was legit flown back in my seat by this, like, that's awesome, man, like, holy shit, they reference Sonic Adventure. He tells Knuckles that he must train Wade Whipple as a warrior apprentice. We then cuts to Wade Whipple practicing for a bowling tournament that he aims to compete in. You know Wade? You remember Wade? That random current release side character from the movies? No? Well, you definitely get to know him in this show, perhaps a bit too much. Wade gets roasted by a little girl on his bowling skills, and his bowling partner named Jack Sinclair, who's also a bounty hunter by the way, kicks him off his bowling team. And I can't be the only one who thinks that Jack Sinclair looks like Lemmy Kilmister, the late lead singer of Motorhead, can I? We then cut to 2 gun agents who betray Gunn and plan to make a deal with a mysterious villain called The Buyer, who I'll talk about much later. We have British Lady and Barack Obama out for Knuckles' quills, and yeah, these characters are pretty shit. Knuckles trains Wade for a bit, but he's not the most physically intimidating person ever, and they travel to a bowling alley together, where they encounter British Lady and Obama and have a brief scuffle with them.
Do I look like I need your power? I understood that reference.
But Knuckles gets overwhelmed and is eventually tricked and kidnapped by British Lady and Obama, or kidnapped by them. This leaves poor Wayne to figure things out on his own and rescue Knuckles, and I'm sure you know where this is going. British Lady and Obama take Knuckles, who is being kept in a holographic cage, to the ice cap skiing resort.
I understood that reference.
Where they plan to make an exchange with the buyer for lots of cash money. There isn't much to say about this episode, as most of it is just Wade coming up with a truly epic plan to save Knuckles, only for it to backfire, but he still rescues him anyways, in a very comical way, and let's just talk about Wade, shall we? I personally don't mind Wade as a character, although why they chose to highlight him so much in this show is beyond me, as he was a very, very minor character in the movies. He's basically a man-child with a kind heart, and he seems to daydream a lot. It was pretty funny seeing him fuck up the rescue plan as he envisions himself as James Bond kicking ass with style, but it doesn't go exactly to plan. I do actually think that he has good chemistry and dialogue with Knuckles, and he has pretty good music taste as well. In fact, I like the soundtrack of this show. It uses a lot of popular 80s and 90s rock and pop music because of that sweet and succulent nostalgia. They probably blew a lot of the budget on the show on getting those songs in the show as well, which, as you can see, is gonna backfire. The opening titles on the show did surprise me, however, as it's presented like one of those DVD/CD portable cases, which did get some nostalgia points from me, as I used to use those for long car trips when I was younger. Now, when I initially saw the criticism that Knuckles barely shows up in his own show, I thought that people were just exaggerating, but nope, Wade basically steals the show here whether you like it or not, and it's gonna get worse from here on out. Wade and Knuckles glide out of Ice Cap Ski Resort, leaving British Lady and Obama to rethink their plans. Knuckles and Wade go on a car trip to Reno in Nevada for his famed bowling tournament, but discover that Wade's a wanted man with a price on his head. And here we are, guys, the infamous Jewish dinner episode. So Wade and Knuckles decide to crash by Wade's mum's house to lay low for a bit, and to have Shabbat dinner with his family, for you see, Wade and his family are Jewish. The whole episode is set within Wade's mum's house, and we see that Wade doesn't exactly have the healthiest relationship with his family. Not only do we get introduced to his pretty sweet and kind mum, but we also see his absolutely irritating bitch of a sister Wanda. And I despise this character with a passion, man. She's so cringe and a completely insufferable demon, and it gets even worse from here, by the way. Knuckles has dinner with Wade's family, and since he doesn't know much about Earth customs, he gets Judaism explained to him by Wade's mum. I agree with some people that Knuckles having Judaism explained to him is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen happen in a piece of official Sonic media, and even Wade's mum says that Knuckles is basically Jewish. Now, I have nothing against Jewish people or the religion of Judaism, but is any of this really necessary? It just feels like filler. Also, wouldn't Knuckles technically need to be circumcised 4 times if you know what I'm saying? There's even a part where Wanda argues with Wade at the dinner table and stabs him in the arm with a fork, like god damn, that's horrible, and Knuckles didn't even think to intervene or mangle Wanda's face or anything. Since Wade is a wanted man, a group of local bounty hunters sneak into the house to capture him. Wait, how common are bounty hunters in this world? It is here that Wanda utters the worst line in the entire show.
What the heck are you supposed to be?
Your worst nightmare.
Nice chains, bro.
Like god, do you know what? I was really hoping that he wraps the chains around her neck and strangled her slowly for 5 minutes straight, man. But sadly that doesn't happen. Knuckles and Wade's family fight off the intruders, destroying their house in the process. But this makes Wade's mum happy since the family have finally bonded over Shabbat dinner, which I guess is cool. I guess that's a nice end to that subplot. Also, Wade's room is literally just nostalgia pandering to the 90s, with all that cool hip 90s stuff in his room. All those 90s movies, shows, cartoons, video games. Whoa guys, do you remember? Do you remember? Wade and his family wake up in their house, which is now completely destroyed. Wade goes outside to collect the paper when he's ensnared and dragged away by Lemmy Kilmister himself, the former bowling partner and bounty hunter who's out for the bounty that Wade's had put on him. Knuckles and Wanda decide that Wade needs to rescue himself out of this situation. For most of this episode, Wade is trapped in an electronic cage, which was bought on Facebook Marketplace, being dragged behind Lemmy's limousine, and Wade goes into a surreal dreamlike world where he meets Chief Pachacamac and is then info-dumped on movie Knuckles' backstory via a musical number. Yep, I know. This is probably one of the most hated episodes in the series, and is my personal least favourite of the 6th. Although, the musical piece visualising Knuckles' backstory is pretty creative, with Wade dressed up as Knuckles and facing off against a version of what I think is supposed to be Iblis from Sonic 06, explaining that Knuckles unlocks the Flames of Disaster to save his tribe. I do admit it was a pretty odd choice to have Knuckles' backstory explained in an episode where he isn't even in it. Yep, that's correct. Knuckles' screen time only equates to 1 whole minute in this episode, or maybe even less than a minute to be honest. I've heard one reason floating around as to why Knuckles, or Knuckles' model, is so absent in this is due to budgetary reasons because, animation is expensive, which I guess does make sense. Probably explains why Sonic and Tails only showed up for episode 1. Wade gets the strength and determination to break through the cage, and I noticed this whilst gathering clips and footage for the review, but he does the superhero landing.
Superhero landing. She gonna do a superhero landing. Wait for it! Ow!
He then challenges Lemmy Kilmister to a duel, and the two have a truly epic, fucking phenomenal cinematic joust to see who is superior. The plot, however, says that Wade must win, and he cuts Lemmy's ponytail off, and Lemmy fucks off feeling embarrassed. Wade then returns to his house, and I'm honestly shocked that a show this short has so much filler like this. I guess it isn't filler since Wade is now back on his bowling team after defeating Lemmy, but you could actually legit skip out on this episode and not miss anything. Wade and Knuckles ride off to Reno on a motorbike that he got from Lemmy Kilmister, and Knuckles wears his cowboy hat like he did in the 90s OVA.
I understood that reference.
Wade and Knuckles arrive in Reno, Nevada, and stay at a nearby hotel. Oh, and that whole subplot about Wade being a wanted man gets completely dropped, by the way. It's never brought up again. He even shows up in a televised bowling tournament this episode. Wade and Knuckles are joined by Wade's mum and his hellspawn sister, and Wade ends up finally meeting his dad, Pete Whipple, who goes by the nickname of Pistol Pete. Pete abandoned Wade at a TK Maxx store when Wade was a little kid to pursue his bowling career, so Father of the Year everyone. His dad literally did the went to the gas station to get milk and never came back thing, except instead of milk it was a bowling ball. Wade gets the courage to reveal that he's Pete's son with the help of Knuckles, and his dad is very apologetic and gives Wade a mixtape he made.
Yes, I have grown into a powerful adult man with many great skills and accomplishments to my name.
Have you now?
Many human women have taken notice of my feats of strength.
Yes. Yes, I get that.
Also, something tells me that Wade's dad is British. I don't know what it is, but I think he's from the UK. Knuckles really does become irrelevant here, and it just descends into a dumb drama about Wade's family problems. Afterwards comes the unnecessarily long bowling montage, and Jesus Christ, this lasts for eons, man, and the editors must have been on some sort of crack when they edited this part because the screen splits up and tiles up here a lot, and there's all these weird effects on screen as well. But remember British Lady and Obama? Well, They're back, and they tie up Wade's mum and Wanda and make a deal with Wade to deliver Knuckles to them. British lady points her gun up to Wanda's head, and it's here that I audibly screamed, "Fuck yeah, blow that bitch's brains out, go on!" Sadly, this doesn't happen, as Wade agrees to their deal and tricks Knuckles into going into an elevator, ready to be ambushed by BL and O. They're still trying to capture Knuckles to hand him over to the buyer. Like, God, how does a show this short have so many antagonists? None of them are even remotely good, or Sonic related. This truly heartbreaking and tragic portrayal of a friend he's come to know and love so well segues us into the conclusion of the series.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Knuckles makes his way up to the penthouse and deceives BL&O, because you see, it was Wade's dad that ratted Knuckles out to them. Wade secretly pulled the 300 IQ Death Note move and communicated with Knuckles about the upcoming ambush. Knuckles fights BL&O and beats them into two giant ring portals which collapse in on each other. So, those two are pretty much been wiped from existence. Good riddance. They untie Wade's mum and Wanda, and Wade goes to the bowling finals and plays against his dumbass traitorous dad. We're treated to yet another bowling montage that feels like it goes on for an eternity, and I have no idea why the two shoutcasters get so much attention here. Like, they get so much screen time here. It feels like they were trying their hardest to fill up the duration of the episode in the time slot with all this dumb pointless filler, and I know that this point that I'm about to make has been repeated by so many other people, but it does feel like I'm watching something completely different and unrelated from Sonic a lot of the time with this show. Wade beats his dad at the tournament by 1 point, but whilst this tournament is happening, the buyer shows up in his huge mech suit wanting Knuckles' power. Oh, have I not brought this guy up before? No? Well, that's because he fucking sucks! He was a former employee for Robotnik who wants to surpass Robotnik in power, and needs the energy from Knuckles to do so, but he gets barely any screen time here, and this is the only time that he's actively involved in the plot as well. Oh, and he's Scottish as well.
Red is the perfect one, black is the brooding bad boy, green is the clown, and yellow, well, she's the girl. So what are you supposed to be?
I'm Scottish!
Still a better villain than Infinite though. Knuckles fights the buyer and his mech suit outside the venue but gets overwhelmed and crashes through the wall, interrupting the bowling tournament, which was the most predictable shit ever. Knuckles is struggling to get back on his feet, and Wade distracts the buyer and gives Knuckles an inspirational speech, causing Knuckles to unlock the aforementioned Flames of Disaster, just like he did all those years ago. Using this power and teaming up with Wade and his family, Knuckles fucking crushes the buyer, and Wade's dad gets KO'd by his mum whilst he was trying to swipe the bowling trophy. With the bowling trophy in hand, Wade gives Knuckles a high five, and that's it. That concludes the Knuckles show. We don't even get a post-credits scene showing Wanda getting thrown into a trash compactor and getting mushed into tiny little pieces, god damn it. That was disappointing. Okay, here are my final thoughts on the Knuckles show. Now, don't get me wrong, despite the criticisms, I didn't hate the show. I don't have disdain for it like I did with DMC2 or Suicide Squad Killer Justice League, but I feel like it was just a missed opportunity to explore Movie Knuckles in more depth, because the only development that he gets here is that he gets to know Wade a little bit more, and so do we. The show was really well made and was pretty entertaining for the most part, and had a few funny bits here and there too. And I really dig the soundtrack as well. Like, the soundtrack and the presentation is pretty top notch. Plus, the animation on the CG characters was very good too, like on par with the movies. But a show this short shouldn't have so much filler and so many antagonists, and all the antagonists sucked. The buyer sucked, British Lady and Obama sucked, Jack Sinclair, who I've been calling Lemmy Kilmister all this time, sucked, and Wade's British dad sucked. It works well for what it is, a goofy, light-hearted, low-stakes, buddy-bonding road trip story, which I think is not what people wanted nor were expecting. I and many others were probably anticipating a show that did star Wade, yes, but focused more on Knuckles' past, and maybe segue or tease the next Sonic movie. I remember falling for a supposed leaked screenshot on Twitter where I saw Amy showing up at the end, but that was confirmed to be fake. Amy doesn't show up in this show. If the main reason as to why Knuckles doesn't show up that much in the show, as people have claimed, is because of the low budget and because it will use up too much budget, maybe you could have made this an hour-and-a-half TV movie. I mean, this show in its entirety is shorter than the Batman movie from 2022, and feels like it's double the length of that with its pacing as well. If you want to check it out for yourself, go ahead. It personally didn't make me want to tear my hair out. Well, every scene with Wanda did, I'll tell you that much. I'd overall describe Wade as a lovable man-child character. And Knuckles is good in the show as well. This has been Rycow Productions, and I'll see you some other time. I'm out of here.